The grand hall of the Galactic Senate buzzed with excitement. Beings from 1,000 worlds chatted in hundreds of languages. Some had tentacles, others had wings, and a few were just clouds of gas. But today, all eyes were on the small blue-green planet's ambassador. Sarah Chen stood tall, her dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. She wore a simple blue suit, a stark contrast to the flashy outfits of the alien diplomats. As she walked to the center of the room, the noise died down. Everyone was curious about what Earth, that little backwater planet, had to say. Sarah cleared her throat and spoke into the translator device. Her voice echoed through the hall, automatically changing into each alien language. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Senate," she began, her voice steady and clear. "I come before you today with an important message from Earth." The senators leaned forward, their antennae twitching or eye stalks swiveling. "For too long, our planet has suffered under the so-called guidance of the Galactic Empire." Sarah continued, "We have been exploited, our resources drained, our people treated as lesser beings." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, while others scoffed. "But no more." Sarah's voice grew stronger. "Earth has made a decision. As of this moment, the Galactic Empire is hereby banned from Earth and its entire solar system." Silence fell over the hall for a split second. Then chaos erupted. "Impossible," shouted a tentacled senator. "They can't do that," yelled another. The Emperor's representative, a tall, gray-skinned being named Zax, stood up. "This is outrageous. Earth has no right to make such a declaration." Sarah stood firm, her eyes scanning the room. "We have every right. Earth is our home, and we choose who is welcome there." As the uproar continued, Sarah's mind wandered back to the day that started it all. It was 15 years ago, when the first alien ship landed on Earth. The memory was vivid. Sarah, then a young diplomat, stood among world leaders as the massive ship descended. It was sleek and silver, unlike anything humans had ever built. When the doors opened and the aliens stepped out, humanity held its breath. They called themselves the Galactic Empire. They promised peace, technology, and a place in the vast interstellar community. Many humans were excited, seeing a bright future ahead. But as years passed, the truth became clear. The Empire saw Earth as nothing more than a resource to be used. They took Earth's minerals, exploited its workforce, and treated humans like children who needed guidance. Sarah remembered the day she saw an alien overseer whip a human worker for being too slow. She remembered the forests cleared for imperial bases, the oceans polluted by their industrial waste. Each memory fueled her determination. Back in the present, the Galactic Senate was still in an uproar. Zax, the Emperor's representative, was red-faced, or whatever passed for red on his gray skin, with anger. "You foolish humans," he spat. "You have no idea of the consequences of your actions. The Empire will not stand for this insult." Sarah smiled, a glint in her eye. "We are well aware of the consequences, Zax, and we are prepared." This statement caused another wave of confusion. How could Earth, a primitive planet by imperial standards, be prepared to stand against the might of the Galactic Empire? Unknown to the Senate, at that very moment, a small imperial fleet was approaching Earth. They had been sent as soon as Sarah's ship left for the Senate, a precautionary measure by the Emperor. As the fleet neared the edge of the solar system, their sensors suddenly went crazy. A massive energy barrier sprung to life, encompassing the entire system. The Imperial ships slammed into it, their engines sputtering and dying. Back in the Senate, a young aide rushed to Zax, whispering urgently in his ear. The color drained from Zax's face as he received the news. Sarah, noticing the commotion, allowed herself a small smirk. "Is something wrong, Representative Zax? You look a bit pale." Zax stared at her, a mix of shock and fear in his eyes. What have you done?" Sarah's voice rang out clear and confident. "We've simply protected what's ours." Earth is closed to the Empire. And this is just the beginning. As the Senate descended into chaos once more, Sarah stood tall. Earth had made its move. The galaxy would never be the same again. Emperor Zorn VI sat on his golden throne, his purple skin shimmering under the bright lights of the Imperial Palace. His 4 eyes narrowed as he watched the holographic replay of Earth's declaration for the 100th time. "How dare they?" he hissed, his tentacles curling in anger. "Who do these humans think they are?" Admiral Kraz, a tall, insectoid being, stood at attention before the Emperor. "Your Majesty, what are your orders?" Zorn's upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of deep thought among his species. "Send a fleet," he finally said. "Not our biggest, mind you. Just enough to remind these humans of their place in the galaxy." Kraz clicked his mandibles in agreement. "It shall be done, Your Majesty." As Kraz left to prepare the fleet, Zorn turned to his chief advisor, a creature made entirely of shimmering light. "Lumi, what do you make of this situation?" Lumi's form flickered as it spoke. "It is unusual, Your Majesty. Earth has always been compliant, if a bit rebellious in spirit. This sudden defiance is unexpected." Zorn waved a tentacle dismissively. "Bah, it's nothing more than the tantrum of a child. We'll show them the consequences of their actions, and they'll come crawling back, begging for forgiveness." But deep in his hearts, he had 3. Zorn felt a twinge of unease. Something about this didn't feel right. Meanwhile, on the edge of Earth's solar system, the Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 5 sleek, silver ships, each the size of a small moon, hung in the darkness of space. Captain Dren, a reptilian humanoid with scales that changed color with his mood, stood on the bridge of the lid ship. His scales were currently a confident blue. "Sensors, report," he barked. A junior officer, a blob-like creature, burbled a response. "Sir, we're detecting some kind of energy field surrounding the entire system." Dren's scales flickered to a curious green. "What kind of energy field?" Before the officer could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Red lights flashed, and alarms blared across the fleet. "What's happening?" Dren shouted, his scales now a panicked yellow. "Sir, we've hit some kind of barrier." The sensor officer Blod quivered. "Our engines are failing." Dren watched in horror as the sleek Imperial ships, pride of the galaxy, drifted helplessly in space. The barrier, invisible but impenetrable, had stopped them cold. "Impossible," Dren whispered, his scales fading to a pale gray. How could the humans have such technology? Back on Earth, in a hidden command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Akinwand Okafor watched the Imperial fleet's approach on a massive screen. His dark skin gleamed with sweat, but his eyes sparkled with excitement. "It worked," he breathed, turning to his team of scientists and engineers. "The Dyson shield is functioning perfectly." The room erupted in cheers. Years of secret work, reverse engineering alien tech, and combining it with human ingenuity, had paid off. General Maria Rodriguez, a stern woman with graying hair, stepped forward. "Excellent work, Doctor. But this is just the beginning. The Empire won't take this lying down." Akinwand nodded, his expression turning serious. "You're right. But we're ready for them. Humanity has a few more surprises up its sleeve." As if on cue, a young lieutenant burst into the room. "Sir, Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission from the Imperial fleet." The room fell silent as the main screen flickered to life. Captain Dren's reptilian face appeared, his scales a mix of angry red and confused purple. "This is Captain Dren of the Imperial Navy," he hissed. "What is the meaning of this? Lower your defenses immediately, or face the consequences." General Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "This is General Rodriguez of Earth Defense. Your presence here is unwelcome and illegal. Leave our solar system immediately, or we will be forced to take action." Dren's scales turned a shocked white. "You dare threaten the Imperial Navy? "You'll regret this, humans." The transmission cut off abruptly. Rodriguez turned to her team. "Prepare for possible hostilities. But remember, we have the home field advantage." As the command center buzzed with activity, Akinwand couldn't help but smile. For years, humanity had played the part of the subservient species, but now the tables had turned. The Empire thought they were dealing with a primitive race. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Earth was ready to show the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. The battle for Earth's independence was just beginning, and humanity had no intention of losing. Dr. Akinwand Okafor stood in his lab, surrounded by strange machines and glowing screens. He picked up a small device, no bigger than a coin. This tiny thing, he thought, had changed everything. 10 years ago, Akinwand was just a young scientist, fresh out of university. He remembered the day that changed his life. It was a hot summer day. Akinwand was working late in his lab when he heard a loud crash outside. He ran out to see a small alien ship, smoking and sparking, half buried in the university lawn. Without thinking, he rushed to help. The ship's door opened with a hiss, and a small green alien stumbled out. It looked at Akinwand with big, scared eyes. "Please," it said in broken English. "Help. Empire. Chasing." Akinwand didn't understand everything, but he knew he had to act fast. He helped the alien into his lab and hid the ship under a tarp just as bright lights appeared in the sky. For weeks, Akinwand kept the alien, whom he called Zip, hidden. They couldn't talk much, but Zip showed Akinwand his ship's technology. It was amazing, far beyond anything humans had. One day, Zip fixed his ship and had to leave. But before he went, he gave Akinwand a gift, a small device full of alien knowledge. "Learn," Zip said. "Protect Earth." Back in the present, Akinwand smiled at the memory. That small device had been the key to Earth's technological leap. He walked to a big screen showing Earth's defenses. The Dyson shield, protecting the whole solar system. Gravity guns that could move asteroids. Ships faster than light. All of this came from studying that device and mixing alien tech with human creativity. Just then, Maria Rodriguez, now president of the Earth Defense Council, walked in. Her hair was grayer now, but her eyes were still sharp. "Akinwand," she said, "the Imperial fleet is still out there. They're calling for backup. We need options." Akinwand nodded. "I think it's time we show them what we can really do." He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared. It showed a strange ship like nothing the Empire had ever seen. "This," Akinwand said proudly, "is the Eclipse, our first true battleship. It uses a mix of alien tech and human ideas that the Empire can't match." Maria's eyes widened. "Is it ready?" "Almost," Akinwand replied. "We just need to." Suddenly, alarms blared. A young officer ran in, looking scared. "Madam President, Doctor, we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. A massive Imperial fleet is coming." Maria's face hardened. "How long do we have?" 2 hours, maybe less," the officer said. Maria turned to Akinwand. "Looks like we're out of time, old friend. Is the Eclipse ready to fly?" Akinwand took a deep breath. "It can fly. Whether it can fight, we're about to find out." Maria nodded and turned to the officer. "Send the alert. All Earth Defense Forces to battle stations. And," she paused, looking at Akinwand, "launch the Eclipse." As the officer ran out, Maria looked at the hologram of the strange ship. "Let's hope this works, Akinwand. The fate of Earth depends on it." Akinwand put a hand on her shoulder. "Have faith, Maria. Humanity has come too far to fail now." Together, they walked out of the lab towards the command center. Outside, sirens wailed as the city prepared for war. In a hidden hangar deep underground, the Eclipse powered up. Its strange engines hummed to life, glowing with an otherworldly light. Across Earth, Millions watched their screens in fear and hope. They had dreamed of the stars for so long. Now the stars were coming to them, with war. But Earth wasn't the same planet the Empire thought it was. Humans had taken alien knowledge and made it their own. They had built wonders in secret, preparing for this day. Now, it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. The Empire thought they were swatting a fly. They were about to poke a dragon. As the Imperial fleet approached, Earth made ready for battle. The greatest test of human ingenuity was about to begin. The news of Earth's successful defense spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the grand halls of the Galactic Senate, chaos reigned. Senator Zix, a blue, tentacled being from the water world of Aquarius, pounded his gelatinous fist on the podium. "This is unacceptable," he bellowed. "How dare these humans defy the Empire?" From the other side of the room, Senator Lyra of the winged avian race spoke up, her feathers ruffled with excitement. "But don't you see? If Earth can stand up to the Empire, maybe we all can." The chamber erupted in shouts and arguments. Some senators called for immediate action against Earth. Others whispered about the possibilities of freedom from imperial rule. In the midst of the chaos, Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth sat calmly. She watched the senators argue, a small smile on her face. Earth's plan was working perfectly. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Emperor Zorn Vuii himself stormed in, his purple skin dark with rage. The room fell silent. "Enough," Zorn roared. "This human rebellion ends now. I will crush Earth myself if I have to." Sarah stood up, her voice clear and strong. "Emperor Zorn, think carefully about your next move. Earth is not alone." Zorn's 4 eyes narrowed. "What do you mean, human?" Sarah smiled. "Earth has friends, allies, and we're willing to share our technology with them." The chamber exploded with excited chatter. Share technology. Earth had become a beacon of hope for oppressed worlds across the galaxy. Meanwhile, in a secret meeting room on a distant space station, Earth's allies gathered. Grex, a rock-like being from the planet Petra, spoke first. "Earth's shield technology could protect our world from imperial mining operations." Next to him, Zala of the gaseous nebulans swirled excitedly. "And their gravity weapons could help us defend our cloud cities." Ambassador Chen appeared on a large screen. "Friends, Earth stands with you. Together, we can create a new future for the galaxy." The allies cheered. For the first time in centuries, there was hope of standing up to the Empire. Back on Earth, in the UN headquarters in New York, world leaders met to discuss the planet's next moves. President Maria Rodriguez addressed the assembly. "We shown the galaxy what humanity can do. But the real battle is just beginning." Dr. Ekinwand Okafor stood next to a holographic display of the Milky Way. "Our long-range sensors have detected a massive Imperial fleet assembling. They're preparing for a full-scale invasion." The room filled with worried murmurs. Maria raised her hand for silence. "We knew this day would come," she said firmly. "That's why we've been preparing." "Dr. Okafor, tell them about Operation Starfall." Akinwan nodded and pressed a button. The hologram zoomed in on Earth's solar system. Suddenly, hundreds of small dots appeared, scattered throughout the system. "These," Akinwand explained, "are our hidden defense platforms. Each one is armed with gravity weapons, shield generators, and our latest invention, the quantum disruptor." One world leader stood up. "But how can we fight the entire Imperial fleet? They outnumber us 1,000 to 1. Maria smiled. "Numbers aren't everything. Remember, we have 2 advantages: superior technology and the element of surprise." She turned to face the assembly, her eyes blazing with determination. "The Empire thinks they're coming to crush a rebellion. Instead, they're walking into a trap." The room filled with cheers and applause. Humanity was ready to fight for its place in the galaxy. As the meeting concluded, Maria and Akinwand stood by a window, looking up at the stars. "Do you think we can really win this, Akinwand?" Maria asked softly. Akinwand put a hand on her shoulder. "We have to. Not just for Earth, but for every world suffering under Imperial rule." Maria nodded. "Then let's make sure we give the Empire a battle they'll never forget." As they watched, a shooting star streaked across the sky. But it wasn't a star. It was the eclipse, Earth's secret weapon, starting its first patrol of the solar system. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the universe what they were truly capable of. Emperor Zorn VII paced in his war room, his purple skin now a dark, angry shade. Holograms of his top generals surrounded him, their faces grim. "I want Earth crushed," Zorn roared. "Send every ship we have. I don't care about the cost. Those humans must be taught a lesson." Admiral Kraz, the insectoid commander, clicked his mandibles nervously. "Your Majesty, we've assembled the largest fleet in Imperial history. Over 10,000 ships are ready to attack." Zorn's 4 eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction. "Excellent. Earth will rue the day they defied us. Begin the invasion." On Earth, alarms blared in the secret command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. General Wei Chen, a veteran of Earth's old wars, now faced the greatest challenge of his life. "Report," he barked. A young officer looked up from her screen, her face pale. "Sir, we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. It's the largest fleet we've ever seen." Dr. Ekinwand Okafor rushed in, his lab coat fluttering. "How many?" The officer swallowed hard. "Over 10,000 ships, sir. They'll be here in less than an hour." Wei and Ekinwand exchanged grim looks. This was it, the moment they had prepared for, yet hoped would never come. Wei turned to his communications officer. "Send the alert. All Earth Defense Forces to battle stations. And contact our allies. We need every ship they can spare." As the command center burst into frantic activity, Wei looked at Akinwand. "Is the eclipse ready?" Akinwand nodded. "It's our best shot. But against 10,000 ships." Wei put a hand on his friend's shoulder. "We faced impossible odds before. We'll do it again." In orbit around Earth, Captain Lena Sato stood on the bridge of the eclipse. The ship hummed with power, its advanced systems beyond anything humans had built before. Lena looked at her crew, a mix of Earth's best and brightest. "This is it, people. Everything we've trained for. We're not just fighting for Earth now. We're fighting for every world that's ever suffered under Imperial rule." She turned to her tactical officer. "Status of the defense grid." "All systems online, Captain," he replied. "Gravity weapons charge. Quantum disruptors ready. Shield generators at full power." Lena nodded, her face set with determination. "Then let's show the Empire what humans can do." As the Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace, they were met with an awe-inspiring sight. Earth's entire solar system was alive with defenses. Hidden platforms activated, forming an intricate web of energy fields and weapon systems. And at the center of it all, the eclipse waited, a sleek predator ready to strike. Admiral Kraz, leading the Imperial fleet, chittered in surprise. "What is this? How could the humans have built all this?" But he quickly regained his composure. "It doesn't matter. We have the numbers. All ships, attack." The space around Earth erupted in a spectacular light show as thousands of Imperial ships opened fire. But their shots dissipated harmlessly against Earth's energy shields. Then, Earth struck back. Gravity weapons warped space itself, crushing entire squadrons of Imperial ships. Quantum disruptors phased through shields, disabling ships with terrifying efficiency. And the eclipse danced through the chaos, its advanced weapons tearing through the Imperial fleet like paper. In the command center, Wei and Akinwand watched the battle unfold. Despite being outnumbered, Earth's forces were holding their own. Suddenly, a new alarm sounded. The young officer looked up, her eyes wide. "Sirs, we're detecting new hyperspace signatures. Wei tensed. More Imperial ships. But Akinwand was grinning. "No," he said, pointing at the screen. "Look." Hundreds of ships were appearing, but they weren't Imperial. They were Earth's allies, joining the fight. Wei laughed, a sound of pure joy and relief. They came. They really came. As the battle raged on, the tide began to turn. The Imperial fleet, for all its numbers, was being overwhelmed by Earth's superior technology and the unexpected reinforcements. Admiral Kraz, watching his mighty armada crumble, made a decision. All ships, retreat, fall back to Imperial space. The surviving Imperial ships fled, leaving behind a graveyard of twisted metal and broken dreams of conquest. On the bridge of the Eclipse, Captain Seto allowed herself a small smile. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it." Earth had stood against the might of the Galactic Empire and emerged victorious. But this was just the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, reshaping the galaxy into a place of freedom and justice for all. As the fires of battle cooled, a new dawn was rising for Earth and its allies. The age of Imperial rule was over. The age of humanity had begun. The battle raged on in the vast expanse of space around Earth. Despite their advanced technology, Earth's forces were vastly outnumbered. It was truly a fight of David against Goliath. Captain Lena Sato of the Eclipse gritted her teeth as another blast rocked her ship. "Status report," she shouted over the alarms. Her tactical officer, Jake, responded quickly. "Shields at 60%, Captain. But we've taken out 30 Imperial ships so far." Lena nodded grimly. "Good. But it's not enough. We need to do something unexpected." Suddenly, an idea struck her. It was crazy, possibly suicidal, but it might just work. "Helm, take us straight into the heart of their fleet," Lena ordered. Her crew looked at her in shock. Jake spoke up. "Captain, that's insane. We'll be surrounded." Lena smiled. "Exactly. Trust me." As the Eclipse plunged into the midst of the Imperial Armada, Lena activated the ship's secret weapon, a quantum field that made the ship appear in multiple places at once. The Imperial ships, confused by the suddenly multiplying target, began firing wildly. In their panic, they hit each other more often than the Eclipse. Lena's voice rang out clear and confident. "Now, fire quantum disruptors, full spread." The Eclipse unleashed its most powerful weapons. The quantum disruptors phased through the Imperial ship shields, shutting down their systems. Dozens of ships went dark, drifting helplessly in space. Meanwhile, on a small defense platform near Mars, Lieutenant Zora Khan was fighting her own battle. Her tiny station was under heavy attack from an Imperial cruiser. "Come on, you big bully," Zora muttered, her hands flying over the controls. "Let's see how you like this." She activated the platform's gravity weapon, aiming it not at the cruiser, but at a nearby asteroid. The massive rock suddenly changed course, accelerating towards the Imperial ship. The cruiser's captain realized the danger too late. The asteroid slammed into the ship, breaking it apart. Zora whooped in triumph. "That's how we do things on Mars." Back on Earth, in the underground command center, Dr. Akinwand Okafor was working frantically. He had noticed a pattern in the Imperial attack and was sure he could use it against them. "General Wei," he called out, "I think I've found a way to disrupt their entire fleet at once." General Wei hurried over. "How?" Akinwand pointed to his screen. "Their ships are linked in a network. If we can upload a virus to their flagship, it will spread to every ship in the fleet." Wei's eyes widened. "Can you do it?" Akinwand nodded. "I can, but someone needs to get close enough to the flagship to transmit the virus." Wei turned to his communications officer. "Get me the Eclipse." On the Eclipse, Lena received the transmission. It was a risky plan, but it could end the battle in one stroke. "All right, crew," she announced. "We're going after the Imperial flagship. This could win us the war." The eclipse weaved through the chaos of battle, taking hits but giving back tenfold. Finally, they were within range of the massive Imperial flagship. "Now, Ensign Kim," Lena ordered. Ensign Kim, the ship's young tech expert, activated the virus transmission. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, like dominoes falling, Imperial ships began to power down across the battlefield. Weapons went silent, engines died. In the command center, Akin Wand let out a whoop of joy. It worked. The Imperial fleet, once an unstoppable force, was now a collection of floating metal. Earth's forces, along with their allies, quickly moved to disable the remaining active ships. Admiral Kraz, on the bridge of his powerless flagship, couldn't believe his compound eyes. "Impossible," he chittered. "How could we lose to these primitives?" As Earth's ships surrounded the flagship, Kraz made a decision. "Send the surrender signal," he ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. In the Earth Command Center, cheers erupted as the surrender message came through. General Wei turned to Akin Wand, tears in his eyes. "We did it, old friend," he said. "We actually did it." Akin Wand nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. As the news spread across Earth and to its allies, celebrations broke out everywhere. The seemingly invincible Galactic Empire had been defeated by the very planet they had once dismissed as primitive. David had beaten Goliath. Earth had changed the galaxy forever. And this was only the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars. The grand hall of the Galactic Senate buzzed with excitement. Beings from 1,000 worlds waited in anticipation. Today was historic, the day Earth would address the galaxy as a major power. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked to the center of the room. The noise died down as all eyes turned to her. Sarah took a deep breath and began to speak. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," she said, her voice clear and strong. "The age of imperial rule is over. Today, we start a new chapter in galactic history." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, while others looked worried. Sarah continued, "Earth doesn't seek to replace the Empire as rulers. Instead, we propose a new galactic alliance, an alliance of free worlds, working together for the benefit of all." The hall erupted in cheers and applause. Many worlds had dreamed of freedom for centuries. Now, that dream was becoming reality. Meanwhile, on Earth, celebrations were still going on. In New York City, Dr. Akin Wand Okafor watched the holographic broadcast of Sarah's speech from his lab. President Maria Rodriguez walked in, a smile on her face. "Quite a speech, isn't it?" she said. Akin Wand nodded. "Sarah's doing a great job. But we have a lot of work ahead of us." Maria's smile faded a bit. "You're right. Winning the war was just the beginning. Now we have to win the peace." Just then, a young scientist burst into the room. "Dr. Okafor, President Rodriguez, you need to see this." They followed her to a large screen. It showed a distant part of the galaxy, where a strange energy pattern was forming. Akin Wand's eyes widened. "Is that what I think it is?" The young scientist nodded excitedly. "Yes, sir. It's a stable wormhole, and it leads to another galaxy." Maria gasped. "Another galaxy? But that means intergalactic travel is possible," Akin Wand finished. "This changes everything." Back in the Galactic Senate, Sarah was answering questions from various representatives. A furry being from a cold world spoke up. "Earth speaks of freedom and cooperation. But how do we know you won't become the new empire?" Sarah smiled. "A fair question. That's why we're proposing a galactic council with representatives from all member worlds. No single planet will have absolute power." Another being, a floating gas creature, chimed in. "And what of your advanced technology? Will you share it?" "Yes," Sarah replied, "but responsibly. We'll establish a galactic science academy where beings from all worlds can learn and contribute." The questions continued, but Sarah answered each one patiently. Slowly but surely, the idea of a new galactic alliance was taking shape. On the former imperial capital world, things were changing too. The purple-skinned beings who had once ruled the galaxy were now facing a new reality. In the old imperial palace, now renamed the Galactic Cooperation Center, former Emperor Zorn VI sat across from Captain Lena Sato of the Eclipse. Zorn looked older, his once bright skin now dull. "So what happens to us now?" he asked. Lena's voice was firm but not unkind. "Your people will have a place in the new alliance, like any other world, but you'll have to answer for the crimes committed under imperial rule." Zorn nodded slowly. "I understand. Perhaps it's time we learn to live as equals, not rulers." As weeks passed, more and more worlds joined the Galactic Alliance. Earth shared its technology, helping planets recover from centuries of imperial exploitation. The Galactic Science Academy opened its doors, welcoming students from across the stars. New discoveries were made daily, pushing the boundaries of knowledge. And the newly discovered wormhole opened up endless possibilities. Exploration ships were already being prepared for the journey to another galaxy. One evening, on the observation deck of the Galactic Cooperation Center, Sarah Chen stood with Akinwanda Okafor and Maria Rodriguez. They looked out at the stars, now full of promise instead of threat. "Did you ever imagine this?" Sarah asked. "When we first decided to stand up to the Empire?" Akinwanda shook his head. "Never. But that's the thing about humanity. We always surprise ourselves." Maria smiled. "And now we have a whole new galaxy to explore. New friends to make, new challenges to face." As they watched, a ship took off, heading for the wormhole. It carried scientists and explorers from a dozen worlds, ready to make first contact with whatever lay beyond. Sarah's voice was soft, but full of wonder. "The galaxy is no longer forbidden to us. Now let's build a future that's open to all." And with that, humanity stepped into a new era, no longer underdogs, but leaders. Not conquerors, but partners in a grand cosmic adventure. The story of Earth and the galaxy was just beginning.